Say hello to the Japanese Zero A6M2. Perhaps one of the most awesome vehicle additions to the game so far, the Zero A6M2 is an incredibly awesome plane. This thing dominates, both in terms of taking out enemy air vehicles but also infantry, and the new maps are absolutely perfect for this plane. Whilst many people view this plane as a kamikaze only bomber, and you will see a lot of people using it just to ram into flags, given a few hours to unlock the specializations, you will realise how strong it can be. 6 tiers of unlocks give you plenty of options in terms of customization, and with certain loadouts you can dominate both ground and air. In this video I'm going to go through my current loadout, the way I specialise this plane in order to be the most effective I can. I'll go over a few tips and tricks in order to get to level 6 in order to have everything unlocked as fast as possible, and also how to dominate the enemies on objectives so you're getting big kills but you're also getting massive points and helping your team win the match. Starting off, you of course have to fear the Fliegerfaust wombo combo, and whilst I'll argue it's not really balanced, neither are many of the vehicles in Battlefield. As an infantry player, I'm kinda glad you can insta-kill some enemy aircraft, and as a pilot, I'm pretty annoyed that this point and shoot meme cannon actually exists. Either way, in its current state, pilots do need to be very wary. You also have the AA cannons to contend with, and these should be your priority before taking out enemy players. I will say this to start, the anti-air for infantry is strong in this build of the game, but also the planes are very good too, so you just need to get that balance right and work out what to kill first, and that's where your target prioritization comes in. So to start the video off, I am going to take a look at the specialization tree, and you can see that we have 6 tiers. This gives you a few ways to optimize your build, depending on what you want to do. Here is my current setup, and a few other options you can take if it's not quite for you. So starting out, you have the 4x20mm cannons. These things are really good in terms of impact damage on enemies and enemy planes, although the 4x LMGs on the right hand side are far better at taking out enemy aircraft, and they're great in dogfight situations. I actually have a few examples to show you in a minute of how good these things actually are. I then move on and take the 4x20mm cannons. These are high explosive and they are great at causing splash damage to enemies. They go after the 4x20mm cannons, obviously making these even stronger. You could pick the engine upgrade, or if you're on the right hand side, the high altitude propeller. I don't rate the one on the right, the altitude propeller. The engine upgrade could be good with the LMGs, it's probably the way you'd go, but for me, if you're going on the left side, it's 4x20 and then the explosive upgrade. Field repair, not for me. It replaces your emergency repair slot, so it's not really worth it. Then you take the finned barrels. These mean you have better cooling properties on your guns, which is really nice. And if you are on the right hand side, you could take a smoke screen. Not for me. Finned barrels is the way to go. Now on to the cool stuff. We have the bombs. You have an 842 pound bomb on the left, a 532 pound bomb times 2 on the middle, or 2 times incendiary bombs on the right hand side. It's a no-brainer for me. The incendiary bombs are awesome. It does say they're anti-personnel, also useful for signalling and smoke screens. For me, they are great for aerial denial, massive multi-kills, and killing enemies that are on very populated flags. Perfect for breakthrough. The next line down, you have the option to deploy AT mines. Fairly interesting. Could be good if you're going for a purely anti-vehicle loadout. Improved resupply. This is great if you're a lone pilot and you just want to focus on resupplying bombs and killing enemies. For me though, I'm a bit of a team player with my squad, and flares are also really good for the plane itself. Flares in this build of the game are super strong. You drop a few out of the back of the vehicle just by clicking on the flare, and there you go, everything is spotted. The final row has increased ammo capacity by 33%. Could be useful if you're going for an anti-tank plane, possibly. Not too sure how it works, haven't used it too much, but it's not really for me. The improved control surfaces are the way I go, so you've got a more agile and manoeuvrable plane, great for dogfights and also evading AA cannons, or the radar package, which is good to spot enemy aircraft that are around you as they appear on your minimap. So that's the way I optimize my plane. Clearly it is going to be very good at taking out enemy infantry. You can see some examples of that in the background. Taking out tanks is not ideal at, but quite often I expect my friendly tanks to be doing that on the Pacific maps, as you do have a lot of tanks per team. A few tips for getting big kills and helping your team out. First of all, focus on objectives. This is good for a few reasons. Firstly, you can see at the top of the screen on the UI whether a flag is going and the enemies are taking it. This means there are enemies on the flag, so it's almost like a free indicator to where the enemies are. Often you will find zergs of enemy players running onto flags in Breakthrough, sometimes in Conquest, meaning free kills, and at the same time you're playing the objective. Make sure to take out enemy planes. Often if you're building a plane loadout and you're going for an infantry farming focus, you forget that there are enemy planes probably doing the same to your team. Making sure that you focus taking those out is really important. Next up, and it links into the team play side of things, use flares so people can see things, especially your squad. Very important. Spotting in Battlefield 5 is incredibly powerful. People think it doesn't exist. It's arguably more powerful than it has ever been in a Battlefield game. The spot symbols are massive, the icons are really easy to see, and obviously you're often not spotted and the enemies are, because you have the gadgets that work. Assist friendly planes whenever you can. I often like to fly maybe a few seconds behind my friendly plane, so if he gets shot I can help him out. If I'm getting shot he can bank round and help me out. It's really good for people who aren't that good at dogfighting with no speed control. Quite often it is difficult to shake a plane off your tail, and having a teammate is great. Always focus on high impact areas. What I mean by this are areas of the map that your team needs to control. Quite often there will be a trench network onto a flag. You see this a lot on Iwo Jima. If you keep that empty and under control with your plane, the enemies can't push up it and they'll find it very difficult to take an objective. This comes with map knowledge, but you'll often see vehicle players doing this. Some infantry players do it, often a tank will do this. They'll deny an area of the map, and this is almost like an area denial tactic to prevent the enemies going there. You get a lot of kills if they try and push you. If they don't, they're forced to go elsewhere. In addition to this, for the big multi-kills, always look for choke points, zones with high activity, and areas enemies like to flank through. Also cave entrances, little bunkers, things like this. You can drop your incendiary bombs on them and do a lot of damage. When it comes to choosing between the 4x LMG cannons on the right side or the 4x 20mm high explosive cannons on the left, well, they both have their merits. Here is some gameplay of the 4x LMG cannons shredding enemy aircraft, and I have to say that I use these at the start in order to level up my plane, because killing enemy planes is almost essential at the start because you can't get many kills on infantry. Here are a few more examples of what the 4x 20mm high explosive cannons are capable of. These things are what I would go for if I'm looking for an anti-infantry loadout. They're very strong and cause massive damage to infantry players. In addition to that, you also need to make sure you have your settings right for those that want to really get the most out of the planes in Battlefield 5. Here is an example of my controls, my graphics, my gameplay, and then the UI. Important stuff to note, as sometimes you won't have this, even little things like your FOV not being wide enough, meaning that you don't see things around you, or having spacebar as pitch up, which in my opinion is really important for doing those constant loops. Although saying that in Battlefield 5, I believe using the mouse to bank means you turn more quickly than using the spacebar, but I like to have both so I can switch between the two if I'm either looping or I'm trying to aim and just pitch up a little bit. So what do you do about dropping the incendiary bombs? How do you line them up? Well, I've found out they fly in exactly the same direction as the plane, but obviously they take the momentum with them. So if you're flying straight at an objective and you drop them, they will drop right beneath the plane, fly forward and land a bit further forward than you kind of expect them to. If you're flying slightly left, they will fly out to the right of the plane, and if you're flying slightly to the right and banking right, they'll fly kind of to the left and get thrown to the side. This means that you can almost do flybys, swing the plane and throw the bombs out to the side. It's pretty cool. Or you can just keep it simple, top down as you do with many of the bombers in the game, and drop everything that way. So hopefully this guide helped you out. This plane is very strong. It's by no means the best in the game. I believe there are others that will do just the same sort of damage. The Corsair has a couple of really cool loadouts that I may go into as well. Plus, I'm sure this Zero can be even better at plane farming in terms of taking out enemy planes, and that might be something I'd check out as well. Plus, maybe there's an anti-tank loadout that could be useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.